You've probably heard the Halloween Horror Nights 2025 ain't your grandpa's HHN, and today we are turning that dial all the way up because we have some insane updates, crazy information that is going to get you so stoked for this year's event. We are breaking down all of the little details you may have missed, connecting all of those dots together and revealing what all of this means for you, because this year Halloween Horror Nights is standing on business and we've got the receipts to prove it. So grab a snack, we've got a lot to unpack.
Now, before we dive into anything at all, I do want to do a quick vibe check because we are now under 6 weeks until HHN opening day. We've got almost all houses announced and we have all of the scare zones officially announced and some pretty unique construction updates that we're going to go over today that reveal the bigger picture on what this event is going to bring for all of us. But more importantly, I want to start right here at the front entrance of where HHN always begins with the HHN trusses, because apparently this year it's supposed to blow our minds, and that is according to all of the news that came out of the UK media event earlier this week. We got to talk about it.
Now, if you have no idea what we are talking about, Halloween Horror Nights hosted a media event this past week across the pond over for our UK friends, and there was a wealth of information that was dropped in this event.
So much information.
But most notably, we had SFX editor Darren Scott there to report on an interview with Universal Creative Laura Souls, which that interview will be coming out in a couple of weeks. So excited for that. But Darren was gracious enough to sprinkle the internet with some major tidbits. Thank you, Darren. Now, if you've heard some of these, maybe not like this, because today we are actually going to weave that thread through all of those tidbits and what that means, how it ties together for this year's event.
Absolutely, and we're going to start with one of the biggest reveals that we got about scare zones, more specifically the scare zone that we're betting is going to be right behind us. Origins of horror.
Now, the official description from Universal for this scare zone reads: enter a decaying conservatory of twisted vines where artists carve tributes to Halloween Horror Nights 34. You'll encounter monstrous crows, gargoyles, and more.
This description sounds badass. I mean, right off the bat, you can already tell that we're going to be walking into the conservatory itself, and it's going to basically be the way that it's being framed, like the initial chapter to the entire story of the park.
It is leading us in for the remainder of the event.
100%. And then Darren Scott himself even said that the moment we're going to turn in through those turnstiles and enter, right, which kind of gives us a clue as to where this scare zone is going to be located exactly. We're going to be inside of the conservatory itself, and we're going to be greeted by all kinds of massive creatures. The way that he's describing this is, for example, the gargoyle that's going to meet us in the front. It has a wingspan that is massive. Now, I want to know if that's going to be on the top of the HHN trusses, right? Like a ceremony type thing in the beginning.
What I was envisioning was actually those like statues that are kind of like stone-esque, and then as you walk through them, they kind of like move. But you bring up a really good point that they could maybe potentially be on top of the trusses.
I would love to see them, but those aren't the only creatures. Darren Scott is also confirming that we're going to see massive crows as well, which are inspired by the Murder of Crows characters over in HHN Hollywood.
So that tracks with what when Origins of Horror was announced at the beginning of last week. Everybody was losing their minds. It's like, are we going to get the crows from Hollywood? Well, it seems like we are. Now, two other things that stood out to us when it comes to this scare zone and everything that Darren noted that tells us Halloween Horror Nights is standing on business when it comes to immersion, theming, atmosphere, storytelling. In the description, it reads that artists carve tributes to Halloween Horror Nights 34 for this scare zone. And Darren noted that chainsaw sculptors will be carving stone statues that feature all 5 IPs up front.
So those are the tributes.
Those are the tributes.
So can you imagine, with everything that we already have going on, just walking in and seeing like a giant statue of Freddy Fazbear, for example, or the ghoul from Fallout, or any of that?
What I want to know is, are the chainsaw sculptors, are these going to be the scare actors, chainsaw horde style, and they're going to be kind of like pretending to sculpt? Are they going to be already sculpted? Yeah. However, that is not the only thing.
That iconic red glow that we see at the entrance for those HHN trusses every single year.
The one that says Halloween Horror Nights.
We're going to see it turn turquoise blue to match the theming of this year's conservatory. That is how deep they are going into it.
That's not all, because when this scare zone was announced, Ramon Paradoa, the show director, writer for the house El Artista, which connects to the conservatory, he mentioned to heed Sergio's warning. So we're going to be hearing Sergio Navarro. Now, is this going to be for the scare zone alone? Is this opening ceremony?
I was going to say, I'm calling it right now. We're going to see the gargoyles at the top welcoming us in, right? We're going to see the crows walking around us. We're going to see the vines hanging out everywhere. We're going to hear Sergio say, don't come in. Be careful. Watch out. And we're all going to be like, no, we're ready.
The curse.
Ready.
It's real. Get me my cup of coffee.
Pretty much.
Are you
Just
okay?
like that. Just like that. I called it right now. You heard it here first.
Oh my God.
But overall, it's really setting the excitement, the tone of what to expect. Why are you laughing?
No, because because you're so funny. I just pictured the mummy instead. But
yeah,
I can see it now.
If you watched our last video and you remember that I pointed out this section, specifically Illumination Avenue, we did have a lot of lights that we've never seen before, and we thought that this is all going to play into the overall theming of the conservatory. And now I'm really starting to believe that, because now that we know so much on what the entrance scare zone is going to bring, I can totally see this entire street be lit up with the same colors from the scare zone itself. So sort of like a one giant extension of the scare zone. I mean, what do you think?
Let's talk about the rest of the scare zones, because if you had any doubts whatsoever, this year is truly breaking away from any sort of feeling that makes you think that it's discombobulated. There is a thread that is weaving through this entire park.
Right, not just in terms of theming and storytelling, but even just the sheer scale and size.
Right. According to Darren, the reduced scare zones from last year have been thrown out the window. We are going to see more scare actors, more scenics all around the park.
Ooh.
That tells me just tons and tons of characters. That tells me tons and tons of props. You're going to want to live in these zones. And kicking it off with the first scare zone, we've got Masquerade Dance with Death. You're invited to a masquerade ball where bloodthirsty vampires lurk behind ornate disguises. When their masks fall, you'll become their prey. I don't think this is going to be any type of campy vamp zone the way we've seen in the past, but more of just like a glamorous
100%.
gothic feel where you're entering this like ball, but they're vampires.
The coolest thing about this artwork is it seems to be directly connected with the conservatory that we see with the origins of horror. Specifically the top, you actually see the glass from
right,
the
you actually see it behind,
at the top.
yes.
Right. At the top and at the bottom, you still see the vines as well.
Right.
So it really is going to tie in very deeply.
It is, and it still plays into, right, like the gothic feel with the candles, the blood
the
spattered
skull.
over the lettering, the skull in the artwork, and we have a little bit of a feeling as to where all of these zones are going to be located.
Right.
But for that, we are going to put a pin in that, and once we get to that scare zone, we'll tell you exactly why we think each scare zone is going to be located
we
and
want
where.
to show you the proof.
Let's move on to the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. Travel down a spooky winding path to a mysterious home where trick-or-treaters are transformed into feral felines. Be careful, you'll be next.
This is actually a spin-off of Slaughter Cinema, something that we saw, but not a scene from Slaughter Cinema from last year's HHN, but a poster inside one of the rooms. In fact, it was actually probably the last room, I would say.
The final room when you're
the
walking
final
out.
rooms, you see it toward your left. It was the same exact title. This has Halloween stamped all over it. You've got the cauldron in the background. You've got the haunted house. You've got the cats. You've got the jack-o'-lanterns. You've got the trick-or-treaters that are going to turn into feral felines. You know what I mean?
And there is a connection. It may not seem like it, but it does feel like there is some type of gothic connection to the rest of
the argument could be made.
It may be a stretch, but you're going to stretch it with us, okay?
Look.
Because there are tombstones in this artwork.
In the very back. And if that is the case, and that resembles any kind of cemetery that we'll see in the scare zone, then that ties directly with the gothic theming.
Mutations Toxic 20s. In a bustling 1920s neighborhood, a buzz-con truck with radioactive cargo crashes into a mobster getaway car, sending the city into toxic pandemonium. It mutates everyone in its path, including you.
Including all of us together. Now, I'm calling it right now. I'm going to say that this is the campy zone of the year.
100%.
There's no doubt about that. Imagine 1920s mobsters running around covered in this toxic sludge. And the zone itself, just like based on, again, going off of everything that we're seeing on the size, the scale of how big it's going to be, and the effects that they're going to put into this, I can see the entire zone glow green.
Covered in sludge, glowing.
Clearly, as you've noticed, we're trying to make a connection with the theming for every single scare zone.
Wonka has a wild connection here.
If you look at the artwork itself, first of all, the artwork is pretty cool. You've got the sludge all over the mobster and the lady in the back, and it just is glowing in green. But there's really nothing Gothic that screams to us, right?
This
it's
one
not
was
like
kind
the
of
other
like
ones.
the zone when it was announced, and we were like, wait, how does this make sense into the whole conservatory feel?
Right,
thing?
it's like a sore thumb, but I really was thinking about it, and follow me now. So while this is not Gothic in the traditional sense, right, this could still be an urban Gothic feel, you follow? So for example, if you know anything about Tim Burton's Batman back in 1989 or 1990, you remember there was a lot of gargoyles, there was a lot of dark aesthetic, there was a cathedral, I think, even in the beginning, at the end of the movie. If they bring out those sets that you have like deteriorated brick walls, you've got the gargoyles coming out, it's still technically part of the Gothic theming connection that they're going to make. Like a
mobster zone.
Now, the other thing I wanted to point out was that if you recognize the name BuzzCon, that is actually something that we've seen here at HHN before.
Bugs eaten alive.
Bugs eaten alive. That was part of HHN 31, where we saw the product from that company backfire, and that's what mutated the insects inside of the house.
Yes.
So-
However, that house was based in 1950s.
Yes, and this one is based in 1920s, which really the question here is, what the hell are they still doing in business?
Right. Well, because this precedes the 1950s house, meaning that things went haywire in the 1920s, things went haywire in the 1950s. BuzzCon, what is going on?
Right, on top of that.
I think that they did kind of maybe rebrand, because 1920s we have it labeled as Buzz, B-U-Z-Z, and then in the 1950s we were
It's like B-Z-Z-Z.
right. It was B-Z-Z-Z. So
Con.
so they kind of had a little bit of a
rebrand.
rebrand.
They
So-
closed down, filed bankruptcy,
rebrand.
right? And they came back, rebranded. I mean, it's smart. It worked. You got to talk about the twist of events now.
Yes,
that are
because
happening.
we don't have 5 scare zones this year.
No, we've got 4, and now we've got 2.
2 street experiences.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think that HHN has ever done this. I believe that this is unprecedented. And if it's not, it's definitely, they're taking a new approach to it for sure.
Yes.
Because we not only got something called Mel's Dying Zombies, and then we have Club Horror, which we do have an idea on where that's going to be located. And in a little bit, we're actually going to walk in that direction and show you. Now that we're in the New York section of the park, I do want to make my case on why I think Mutations Toxic 20s will make a good spot right here in this home of New York, for one. I mean, it is set in the 1920s with mobsters, right? So I can totally see the New York Mafia hanging around the New York section. What better place than anywhere else in the park? That's number one. Number two, we kind of already see a sign. I'm just making a stretch here, but you look at the yellow cab there. We've already got the New York cab theming, even though that's not from the 1920s, but that is just another little maybe Easter egg hint. The third thing is, if you've noticed in previous years, most recently, almost every campy scare zone basically resides here in the New York section. And the last thing that I want to point out, the Metropolis Tribune usually has a giant golden sign in the front. It is no longer there. Now, why is that important? That could mean anything. They went to cleaned it up, they took it home with them. But back in 2011, HHN used to have this really cool effect that never came back. And it was a projection mapping effect where it made the building, this building actually in particular, seem like it was crumbling. It was the coolest thing ever. Why not implement that again this year with the fact that we're going to see the city going to pandemonium with the sludge and the slime everywhere? Palace Arcade check? Let's see. Still a whole lot of blue curtains. what could be happening in there. Maybe nothing at all, but how cool would it be to have something there?
That was a lot to unpack, and that was only when it comes to scare zones. Because coming from the UK press event, there was actually a lot more information that was dropped on the houses that are coming to Halloween Horror Nights. Now, you know the houses that have been announced, and now there are extra details that reinforce how just epic these houses are going to be, and proves that Halloween Horror Nights is standing on business when it comes to that immersion, storytelling, and theming.
All of the above.
Let's start with Terrifier.
With Terrifier, right. I want us to tackle the IPs first. So Terrifier, they kind of reiterated what we already know. If you watched our previous video, we went really deep into why we thought this was going to be the goriest house ever. And Darren Scott, our boy, he basically tweeted again that this is going to be the bloodiest and goriest house we've ever had in HHN history. So
Stamp,
that is
sealed, delivered.
Big deal. Also, we got more confirmation that HHN did work very closely with Damien Leone, the creator of the Terrifier franchise. So you know that this house is going to be great. Now, what we didn't know is that this is going to be the house with the most water effects we've ever seen in an HHN house.
There's a lot of houses that you will walk through at Halloween Horror Nights and you will feel something, right? You'll either feel kind of like walking through a spider web or feeling like bugs are crawling on your feet. Or you get last year Slaughter Cinema, the throw up effect,
right,
as well as in Insidious, the throw up effect coming from on top. But this year, we're truly going to feel that blood spatter on us.
It is so much in the water effect department that they are creating a dual path where folks can choose between a dry path and a wet path. So
choose thy fate.
I was about to say, this reminds me of HHN 32. If you've been to that event, the last scene at the Dueling Dragons house, you got to choose a path. It was basically a fork in the road. Nobody forced you one way or the other. You got to choose. And that's great here because I, for one, am ready to get freaking soaked. I'm not bringing any poncho. I'm telling you right now. No, I'm
oh
getting
my
soaked.
God. We got to talk about the Jason house because this one, I am so excited. There's so much information coming out for this.
The way that they're framing this, at least according to Darren Scott, they're calling it Insidious times 10. Because the same team that brought the Insidious house last year, which is an intense house, especially the red curtain room, is bringing this house to life. So that already automatically tells you that this is going to be scarier and way more intense.
When it comes to Jason and the fact that it is the same team that created the Insidious house.
Oh no, there's so much potential they can play with.
The curtain room in Insidious, how they're gonna maybe possibly recreate this with Jason, maybe a mirror room or just multiple, like I had said in a previous video, mannequin room of Jason's. We've had this prior to in a Michael Myers house.
Yeah, multiple
Halloween
houses. Absolutely.
Yes.
They can totally bring that. And especially in this kind of scenes that we're gonna see, because according to Darren Scott, once again, he mentioned that we're going to see some of the classic Jason locations like the Camp Crystal Lake, the Jason Kill Shack, which we kind of had an idea based on descriptions and just like looking at the teasers and stuff, but this sort of confirms it even more. And just like the fact that we're going to be going through the woods, a scene like that where we see multiple Jasons coming out of the trees and stuff like that. There's just so much that they can play with here.
There's so much to play with.
Now, the coolest thing about this, and this is something that I had no idea, was that it looks like we're going to see a gauntlet of Jasons. So we're going to see pretty much, from what we're seeing, almost all of the Jasons, including the new Jason. So the Jason Universe remake that they did, the redesign for that new mask. There's so much potential that they can play with.
They also talked about Fallout and the monster that is coming to HHN Orlando, because we knew that the radioactive bear was coming to Hollywood, but we didn't know what was coming to Orlando. And we kind of like took a guess at what was coming to Orlando.
Absolutely. If you have no idea what we're talking about, IGN dropped an interview with both Universal creatives from both coasts, one from Orlando, one from Hollywood, and they teased that each coast is going to get a monster. Like you just said, we're going to get the Hollywood's going to get the mutated bear, the Yogwai, and now we know we're going to get the Gulper. And if you watch the show, if you play the game, you know that this is one friggin' scary creature. And on top of that, Darren Scott himself said that this is going to be massive, a giant creature.
Massive gulper. That gulper is already huge in and of itself, and like the thumbs for the inside the mouth, it makes it's so gross. It's so gross.
The other thing that they also mentioned is kind of confirming what we had an idea about, is that we're going to see a lot of iconic locations as well. We're going to see the Super Duper Mart, for example. We're going to see the vaults, and they're saying that this is not only going to be for fans of the show, but also fans of the video games. Now, while we don't have anything official when it comes to FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy's, we did get a little bit of some breadcrumbs from Darren Scott as well, because he did say that if you are a FNAF fan, that you are going to love the quote things that are coming to this event. Things as in plural.
Things. I mean, we got confirmation from Universal a few months ago that Five Nights at Freddy's was coming to the event. Everybody knows this, and everybody's been very excited on whether that is a house and more plus. And now hearing that there are things,
because I'm sure he's not just talking about merch, right? I'm sure there's going to be something beyond.
But more importantly, it was said that things are incoming soon. We are in the San Francisco zone, and we got some movement here, folks. We've got lights. We've got a huge stage behind me. There's always typically a scare zone in this section. Last year we had the Blumhouse scare zone. However, if you really pay attention to how everything is formatted, we have kind of like, seems sort of like a little stage situation with the lights pointing in different directions, and this platform here that looks like a DJ set. A DJ set. What does that tell you? Now that Club Horror has been officially announced, this could potentially be the area where we get down with some bird beaks and in bikinis, or according to the artwork. I cannot wait to see exactly how this all manifests.
Don't be surprised that we see more stages pop up around the area.
Right.
There you go.
It's happening, Club Horror, baby. Bird beaks, let's go.
As we make our way into the Central Park area, I did want to mention that we don't really see any real big construction updates. We did point out the lights last time. We pointed out the really cool looking stage at the end of Central Park, all the way kind of curving almost into the Simpsons area. But what I do want to mention is talk about the scare zone that we think is going to come to this section of the park. And if you looked at the poster for the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane, the biggest indicator that we're going to maybe get it here is the fact jack-o'-lanterns. Jack-o'-lantern eyes everywhere with the beady cat eyes as well. Imagine seeing that here, where we have seen that before come to HHN. It's one of my absolute most favorite things to see the pumpkins on the trees. So that alone, to me, indicates that we're definitely going to see it. But the second reason why I mention it is because if you look at the poster and you see the winding road and the haunted house at the end of the lane, come here, look at this, turn around real quick. This entire section here is the winding lane itself. And that stage isn't a stage. That's a house, baby.
It's the Crooked Lady's house.
The Cat Lady's house. Well, she's crooked. I mean, she's crooked too, because she's being weird. But that is 100% going to be the house, or at least I think it is. We don't know. So what do you think? When it comes to the level of immersion, you're going to continue to hear us say it over and over again, because they are really bringing it, or as this video says, they're standing on business. It's not clocking.
Standing on business. Are you trying to do the Justin Bieber?
The Justin Bieber meme.
It's not clocking to you.
The Grave of Flesh House, according to our boy Darren, once again, he's saying that we're not only going to see, but we're going to smell the soil in this house as we go underground and feel as if we are being buried. Buried.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine that? Because we already knew that this was going to be our funeral.
Right.
But the fact that we're going to feel that.
As if we're going underground and smelling the soil.
It makes me think that this is going to have a lot of claustrophobic elements.
Probably.
So a lot of tight corridors.
I do want to note that Darren did talk about the fact that we are smelling that soil, right? We called this in an earlier video. We knew that Grave of Flesh was going to have some type of smell, and we did call this in our Details You Missed for the original houses. If you have not checked that out, go check out that video after this video.
Right, the next house.
Right.
That they gave us more details on is El Artista, a Spanish haunting. Darren did say that this is also not just a beautiful house, but we're going to get a total of 3 facades. Not 1, not 2, but 3. How the heck is that even possible, first of all?
Is it like 3 facades kind of like facing us as we're walking in,
that's
or
what
is
I
it,
don't
or is
understand.
it one facade as we walk in the manor, another facade as we pass the manor into the conservatory,
That makes sense.
and then another like facade,
Right.
at some other
Going
point.
into some other part of the
I mean,
manor.
we do know, we have a feeling that this house is going to be enormous.
And not just that, but it seems like we're going to get every trick in the book when it comes to HHN. So all of the tricks that you've seen in previous houses, imagine no matter what year you've been to this event, it's a big freaking deal.
It is so exciting. I can't wait. Darren also gave us a little bit of details when it comes to dolls. Let's Play Dead. And this one, I gotta say, this one we did not call.
We had said that this was going to be a very dark and sinister house, and it is in a way. But according to Darren, it checks off all of the comedy boxes.
Right. While we thought it was going to be a more dark house like Dollhouse of the Dam, we're going to see something on the more dark comedic humor side. I'm thinking Major Sweets, how it was comedic, but it was definitely, they had some dark angles in there, very bloody, very gory. And the reason why this confirms that is because Darren did also mention that as we move through this house, things are going to get bloodier and bloodier.
Now, the other thing that we found out, because we already knew that we were going to be surrounding the story of a sadistic little girl, but her name is Lila. And we're actually going to be seeing her, since we are doll-sized, peering through the house. So I can imagine maybe her eyeballs are going to be coming in through the dollhouse, because the facade itself is a fashion doll house facade, right?
Yes.
So we're going to probably start there. We're going to go in. I mean, I know eventually we're also going to
Lila's
escape.
eye poking through
Yes.
as we walk in.
Not only are we going to see her in the house, but apparently Darren says that we're going to see her somewhere else in the event itself. The first thing that popped into my mind was, if you remember, like last year, the HHN bar, we saw some of the original scare actors from these OG houses pop up on the stages for photo ops and stuff.
Right.
So could we see the same thing with her?
Very exciting to know that Lila will not only be inside this house, but in other areas as well. Hatchet and chains. This one, honestly, completely changes my perception of what this house is actually going to be like.
That is one that we got really wrong. We called that as the campy
As
house.
a campy house, right.
And so far we have no signs of it being campy yet. We'll see
Right.
once everything comes out. Because what we do know is that it's going to be a little bit more intense than we thought. One specific thing that Darren mentioned is that we're going to see not only the red hot lava demons, but there are going to be scenes where we see those demons pop out of people's faces, making that element of body horror like really feel amplified in this house.
Can you just imagine just like those the demons popping out? Like it's just
Just like the pieces of flesh just like hanging out as you're like walking. I can also maybe imagine, nothing was mentioned about this, I can feel heat in this house.
Yes.
I can feel it like it be very hot.
Now, when it comes to Galkan Monsters of the North, we knew that this house was going to have those monsters, those beasts from the north that were just going to encapsulate us in awe and in fear and everything in between. However, Darren did tweet out confirming that there was going to be beasts, and the village that we're going to be going through will be ravaged and ripped apart, because that gigantic monster that we see in the front of the artwork is a shaman beast, and it is drawing all the creatures to this community, and it is going to be, according to Darren, one of the bloodiest houses. I mean,
once again, there's like a central theme here when it comes to the house intensity, the scares,
if
the
you
gore.
don't like blood, this might not be your HHN. I just gotta tell you that right now.
No, literally.
But he did say one of the bloodiest houses, very visceral.
I'm telling you right now, every house is gonna be a banger this year. The other cool thing that stood out that Darren pointed out was that as we continue to go through the house, the shaman is basically collecting all of the creatures, right? Tearing them apart, and she is growing. Where at one point we're going to reach a prop where it's going to be 6 feet tall of just her head alone. I'm 6'2", so just seeing like the size of me, right? A giant head, and we're gonna go under it, and we're gonna enter the belly of the beast there.
So it seems like, from what I am understanding, we're gonna be swallowed whole by this shaman. When the art description said enter the belly of the beast, that's a matter of speech. A lot of people say, "Oh, we're
Yeah,
going into the belly of the beast." No, buddy.
Actually going inside.
We're going into the belly of the freaking beast.
That's crazy.
And in this section, we have Mel's Drive-In. Very soon, Mel's Dine-In. And this is where 100% we know that the official Mel's Dine-In zombie car hop is going to take place. A lot of questions still remaining. Universal did say that more details are coming soon. I can't wait to figure out what exactly all of this, how it all ties together. Is it going to be an experience where maybe the zombies come in through at a certain set times, different hordes? Is it going to be something that they're always roaming around? Are they going to go inside Mel's Dine-In? If you take a look, we are very, very close to the Hollywood scare zone. So typically, if you're a little bit of a scaredy cat, you kind of like run out of the Hollywood zone and you can run through Mel's Dine-In and have nothing to worry about. My friend, looks like there's less and less safe zones this season. And for me, I can't wait. For you, I don't know.
Speaking of scare zones, I want to make my case onto why I think that Masquerade Dance with Death is going to appear here in the Hollywood section of the park. For one, we did go around every single section of the park and we did point out all of the scare zones we thought were going to show up there, which leaves the last one to be in Hollywood. There was two possibilities that we had here. One, it could have been in New York, right? It could still be in New York, but since we always see the campier side of things over in New York, it feels like this is the more serious side when it comes to HHN scare zones, more story driven. I can definitely see all of this, and just the sheer fact that we have so many lights on top of these buildings, the brightness, it's going to be beautiful, it's going to be elegant. I'm telling you right now, we're gonna be dancing with vampires, baby.
If you have been following with us throughout this entire day, talking updates, talking construction, talking theories that we've stretched beyond belief, I want you to drop Dancing with Vampires to let us know that you've been here. You're here all day, baby.
What a day. We melted. I think I shed maybe like 10 pounds of sweat alone.
Listen to me. It was 111 degrees all day. This is probably one of the most difficult videos that we have made in a very long time. And I'm not looking for sympathy here at all, because we put ourselves in this situation, right?
And we're happy to do this.
We are. We wanted to bring you all of the construction updates. We wanted to really dive deep into the tweets by Darren and really tie that thread together, because you can hear all of this, right? You can hear it spewed, tweet after tweet after tweet, but we really wanted to make sure that we painted that picture for you.
Because it's going to be a massive event.
It's going to be a massive event. But now the other super important thing to take out of all of this, there will be extra added content that will take immersion to the next level. However, they couldn't talk about it just yet.
Talk about it. That's insane. We still need 2 more official houses, right? We still need the shows to be announced. We need the food. Clearly, there's still a lot that we can have some surprises for. The theming, the immersion, we've said it before, we're going to continue to say it.
Ready?
Is next level.
HHN is what? HHN is what?
Standing on what? Business.
Thank you so much for following along through this crazy, crazy day.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. We will catch you
in the next one.
Ooh.
I just want to give it a quick hug, real quick. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate you.